just outside of New Orleans, about 1:30 a.m. And I should be asleep. And actually, I tried to sleep. But for 5 years, I've had a duty as Professor Toto to always come to this microphone, the microphone of magnanimity, as we love to call it, and tell you the truth. The reason I'm making this video so late is because morning is coming, and many of you MAGA patriots will wake up to the headlines everywhere how that Donald Trump has taken the side of pedophiles while ignoring the victims. It's my duty tonight to bring some clarity to this misinformation. On the left side of my screen is a press conference that was called yesterday from the supposed victims of Jeffrey Epstein. I say supposed because we don't know who is and who isn't. Anyone can claim to be. But these ladies all claim to be victims of Epstein. I'm going to play a brief clip that has tormented me during the night season because I can smell this a mile away. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that many cannot. Let's listen to just a smidgen of this choir practice. I'm sorry, press conference.
And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Stay tuned for more details. That's what scares me. First of all, I'm not so sure that the blonde Amazon in the back is a victim. But nevertheless, she's mighty happy about something. And I can't help but notice she really don't look like a MAGA patriot, most probably. There's something cooking, y'all. And it is my duty to expose that for you tonight. Now, if you have access to my blog, you can read that in detail, where I put all of my thoughts there free of charge every day. You can subscribe to that at no charge. Let's talk about it tonight. Let's get down and talk about it, okay? So after Donald Trump heard about this choir practice, because it looks like a choir has been assembled to announce that they are coming up with their own list, not of criminals. No, the list is of people that came and went in the Epstein world. Not a list of people that there's evidence of a crime, but a list. And notice what she said, of names that we all know. And then she said it would be people that came and went, as if coming and going is a crime. Now, Donald Trump looked in the camera right after this happened and said something like dropping a bomb, and it's got all of the news talking. He said, it's a hoax. Oh, immediately the media went crazy, saying he's dismissive of survivors. Well, First of all, we have no proof that any of these people are survivors. They could be opportunists. I didn't say they were. I said just because you call yourself a survivor doesn't necessarily make you one. And if it doesn't scare the bejesus out of you as an American, that these people are coming up with their own list with no vetting, no safeguards, just a list of people that we all know. Well, not only the mainstream media, but MAGA is beginning to turn on Trump. How could he call this a hoax? These precious, dear survivors, so-called. I'm just going to say tonight, I'm going to repeat what Donald Trump said because the man's never been wrong. So I want you tonight to pause. If you're watching this after the fact, sometime tomorrow, pause. I want you to think. I want you to use this instead of this. Okay? And I want you to breathe. That's what I want you to do. Donald Trump was not calling Epstein's crimes a hoax. He wasn't denying an evil empire that ensnared young girls. So let's get that straight. He's not erasing the trauma of real victims. But most of the time, real victims are not looking for a microphone and a press conference. They're just looking for real justice. What he was exposing was the theatrical hoax, the theatrical hoax of this carefully staged choir practice. A performance that was designed to stir outrage, to pull on your heartstrings, to smear reputations, to replace due process with mob justice. For 5 long years, we in the MAGA movement have trusted Donald Trump. When he said that the Russia collusion was a hoax, he was right. When he said that the border wall mattered, he was right. When he said the economy could roar again, he was right. When he said NATO was not paying their fair share, he was right. When he said the media was the enemy of the people, he was right. Time after time, Trump has proven himself to be right. And yet tonight, when he looks in the same camera and he calls the Epstein list a hoax and this staged choir practice a hoax, many of his own people are suddenly furious. Why are we such fair weather friends? Why do we trust him in the battles that we like, but doubt him in the battles that make us uncomfortable? Why do we shout, Trump was right about everything, one day, and then the next day accuse him of defending pedophiles? That's part of the hoax, to turn Trump's own supporters against him by stirring emotion over evidence. And I couldn't sleep tonight because I'm like, somebody's got to shake us and give us a dose of tea drops, TOTO drops, truth drops, and say, wake up, smell the hoax, see the hoax, don't be seduced by the hoax. Ladies and gentlemen, if Donald Trump has earned anything from us, he's earned the benefit of the doubt. When he calls it a hoax, we should at least stop and think before we throw stones at him. So what is the hoax? It's not the crime. The crime is not the hoax. The crime was real. It's the circus that's the hoax. The crime was real. The victims are real. I don't know if all the ones on that screen are real. The tall blonde one in the back gives me pause, but the abuse was real. That was not a hoax. But the media, watch for the list drumbeat. Watch for the list. And it's going to be names we all know. That's the hoax. It's a hoax because it tricks American gullible minds into believing that justice will come by way of a press conference, not a courtroom, by way of a private list. We're demanding a list. So since there is none, we're going to create one without a smidgen of due process or evidence. Your list is coming, America. The bloodthirsty cry for a list. We will give you what you want. Due process be danged. It's a hoax because it suggests that if survivors saw someone coming and going, that equals guilt. Throw their names out there. It's a hoax because it uses emotional testimony in the court of public opinion rather than the court of law. And Donald Trump sees through it, and so does Professor Toto. That's not justice. What you saw on your screen just now is not justice. That's called vengeance. There's a world of difference. This press conference was theater. The crowds cheered. We know who came and went. We know them all. Well, first of all, who are you? Where's your evidence? Where's your proof that you saw anything? The crowds cheered, the headlines lit up, mission accomplished. But when does coming and going make you a criminal? Since when does showing up at a house equal abuse? Since when does boarding a plane equal trafficking? Since when does association equal guilt? But don't forget, it's names we all know. That is the slippery slope, my friend, of mob justice. Do you understand that innocent people can be destroyed with this so-called list? You know, there was a few victims in Salem, Massachusetts. They drew up their own list as well. Yeah. Supposedly they had seen people coming and going around the witchcraft house. Oh yeah, they hung them up, strung them up. You can go see the graves today from a made-up list. They come up with a list without any evidence. And the mob loved it, and we have learned nothing. That's why Donald Trump called this a hoax. So before you allow the headlines to get in your head, allow the truth to get in your heart right now. Know that what you're hearing from Donald Trump is the truth. This is why America has courts and not crowds. That's the reason the Constitution does not allow victims to prosecute. What you saw on your screen today was the total opposite of American justice. Why do we not allow victims to prosecute? These are victims, okay? They want vengeance. These are victims, so-called. Emotions cloud judgment. Yes, pain is real, but pain does not prove guilt. Mobs destroy truth. Once the names are shouted out in public, innocent doesn't matter, and the damage is done, and it can never be undone. And shame on us, America, for being so desperate for a list that we're willing to let law die in the streets. Justice requires testing. Every accusation must be weighed, every fact examined, every defense heard. Without that, we don't have a republic, my friend. We have a Roman Colosseum where the mob screamed for blood and the reputations are fed to the lions. Maybe Donald Trump himself, even though Maxwell Ghislaine last week said Trump was nowhere near it. That drove the left insane. So now they're going to bypass Maxwell. Oh, we've got the victims. They've got a list of names we all know. Trump saw the crowd warming up yesterday and he said it. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. What about free speech? What about responsible speech? You don't have a right to free reign over people's lives. Look, the FBI, both administrations, the Department of Justice, said there is no official client list. Yes, there's flight logs, there's scraps of testimony, there's names and depositions, but no court has ever produced a verified master list of criminals tied to Epstein. Ghislaine said there is no list, but all of that be danged. We've got the victims that want justice. Or do we have people that say they're victims that want a camera? I don't know, but this much I do know. I don't make decisions of guilt or innocence based on private list. My God, they could put my name on that list, your name on that list. Is that where we are in America? Are we truly all a bunch of hypocrites? Do we truly believe innocent until proven guilty? If we don't, for God's sake, let's quit saying we do. When the survivors, so-called, stand at a microphone and declare, we will release a list of our own of names that you all know. Trump recognizes the setup. Too bad we don't. Too bad, MAGA, we never learn our lessons that Trump is always right. A vigilante list should scare you to death. I'm not ready to live in that world where you can here's the list right here. Matter of fact, you know what? Put him on it too. I saw him. You know what? Put her on it as well. Hang them all up for witchcraft. That destroys the innocent along with the guilty. Are we so desperate to get the guilty, we're willing to get the innocent as well? America? It's a hoax. A list that blurs the line between association and abuse. A list that makes accusation equal conviction. And we're just going to throw these names out there with no rule of law, no weighing of this list to see if the names are guilty, or at least there's strong evidence that they might be. That's not truth, my friends. That's a hoax. That's a nation that's gone bloodthirsty. America needs thinkers tonight, not feelers. We need thinkers. And this is where Donald Trump's bluntness saves the day. Everyone else felt the tears. Everyone else got swept up in the drama. Everyone else. But Trump said what no one wanted to hear. That's what makes him a leader. He said, this is not justice. This is theater. This is not facts. This is a frenzy. This is not law. It's a hoax. Think of it. If your neighbor says that they saw you at the wrong house, does that make you guilty? If you flew on the same plane as someone, does that make you complicit? If a victim remembers your face in passing, does that erase the presumption of innocence for you? Are you truly an American? We all know the answer. In the heat of the moment, in the heat of emotions, you need a leader. In the temper of the times, you need a leader to jerk you and say, hey, wake back up. They're seducing you. It's a hoax. Do you not remember the Russia? It sounded so good. But real leaders, I was one of those leaders that shook you and said, no. Think. In the heat of emotions, people forget they are American. Beyond American, God-fearing, justice-loving, forgetfulness in the heat of the moment is the hoax. Hoaxes have a pattern. This isn't the first time. Trump has been here before. Russia collusion, Ukraine phone call, January the 6th, and now the Epstein list hoax. Don't fall for it, America. Don't fall for it, MAGA. Different stage, same script. Take a kernel of truth, inflate it with hysteria, and sell it as justice. Trump's track record, every time he called it a hoax, you now have the receipts to prove that's what it was. Think about it. Everything he's called a hoax, we now have the receipts to prove it is. Here's my final word. Epstein's crimes, not a hoax. Survivors' pain, not a hoax. But the idea that justice will come from a survivor compiled list shouted into microphones, that is a hoax. It's a hoax that trades law for headlines, that sacrifices the innocents for the sake of a spectacle. It's a hoax that turns the republic into a mob. It's a hoax that abuses free speech as a license to destroy. And once again, Donald Trump may be the only man bold enough to strip away the theater and say, this is a hoax. So allow Professor Toto to make sure Trump's not the only man. Allow me to stand with him and repeat and parrot what he has said. I say it for the record, and this will age quite well, as all of my other shows have over 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, MAGA, this is a hoax. And now you've heard the best of the story. I'm Professor